Hey guys, LegoMaster1378 here, and today I'm going to doing a overview on the 2014 LEGO City sets. Now, this is a line that I am actually particularly interested in this year. I've always kind of kept an eye out on city sets in general because, well, I like them. I'm not a huge realistic and like real town sort of, and especially not. I'm not a very big car lover, but I've sort of liked the city sets for the past few years. And I really like the fact that even though they're meant for a pretty young audience, like sometimes as little as 5 years old, I think that especially this year they have some really good looking models. So we're gonna start off with the Crook Pursuit set, which is pretty much your sort of standard, sort of almost impulse buy small set. This is really where I want to highlight the sort of new look that the police vehicles have with the new font for the police logo and just it's sort of the more abundance of white, which is something that I really like. I really like the look of the police vehicles this time around. Granted, pretty much all of them are stuff that we've seen before. However, I just think that they look really good. Now, uh, as far as this set goes, it's really not very interesting, honestly. The bike we've seen before, even more complicated, and there's really not a whole lot to this set. Although those two high, sorry, new mortar bricks are pretty cool. Now, next up we have the High Speed Police Chase. This is a set that, unfortunately, I think up here in Canada it's going to be slightly overpriced, just because it's one of those sets that doesn't really look like it has a lot of substance, but it kind of does. Because in terms of like a general piece count, it's not very large, and the total mass of the set isn't a lot. It's just like a police car, which is maybe like $10 at the very most. The police car and the terrain is like maybe 10, maybe $15 tops up here in Canada. And then they just add two bikes, which are really only about 5 pieces. And they're probably going to label it as like a $25 setup here, but I'm ranting too much. Overall, I think that this is actually a pretty neat set. There's not a whole lot to it, but I think that it probably has a lot of playability. Also, it's really nice to see a female crook or a female robber because Lego City is kind of gender biased, as lots of people have noted. They have gotten better with including more female figures, and I think that just sort of having a quote unquote bad girl is a step ahead. Although I'm really not sure how I feel about the new police caps or the new police hats. I kind of like the old ones as well, but the new ones, I don't know, they kind of are slightly out of proportion, in my opinion. But lots of people liked them when they came out of the collectible minifigures, so I don't know. The police car, I like the look of it. I like the sleek look of it, but I also kind of like the older style police cars as well. I don't know, I just like the older ones a lot. It's still a really nice looking vehicle. Next up is the prisoner transport. For some reason, I really like the look of this set. It just has kind of a boxy, but at the same time, now I'm not a car nut, so I don't know what this is supposed to be like based off of. But it just has a very rugged and uh, tough feel to it, I guess. It's interesting to note that this actually starts off the sort of the trend of having these sets where the robbers have kind of the ball on the chain to sort of hold them down, which I don't think they really use in prisons anymore, and also having a small vehicle use sort of breaking the robber out by breaking the bars off. Although why exactly he's doing that while they're driving in the middle of the road, I have no idea. Anyway, but apart from that, it still looks like a pretty neat set, and it's nice to see another $25 set that I think could honestly also be used as kind of like if you modify it a bit, it could be used as sort of a money transport van. It kind of has that look to it, in my opinion. But anyway, next up, so that was the prisoner transporter. Next up is the mobile police unit, which is something they've done many times before, and this really doesn't look like too different, although I really don't like to be too harsh on sets that remake stuff that we've seen in the past because my favorite line is Star Wars, and as some of you who have seen the 2014 pictures may notice, there's a lot of repeats there, but that's besides the point. This actually still looks like a pretty decent set. I'm not particularly fond of it, excuse me, but I just think that it's a neat looking set, and I really am digging that like multiple monitor setup that they have inside the actual trailer. That's pretty neat. So nothing too much that I want to say about this set. Uh, I guess it's about time that I started talking about the police uniforms. I don't know how I feel about them honestly. they constantly change their police uniforms in Lego City now. I think it's like the fourth or fifth year in the row that they're different in some way or another. But I think that, like, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of them. I was kind of a fan of the white and the black. However, I think that the predominantly white police vehicles, like I mentioned earlier, are really, really nice. Next up, we have the Police Patrol. This is another set in which I really, really like the main vehicle. The sort of, what would this be, a Humvee? I don't really know. As I said, I'm really sorry. I barely know anything about cars, even though I'm a guy. I'm just not a huge car nut. The off-roader here looks really, really nice. And again, this is a set that we've seen in the past, and it's going to be probably a bit overpriced. The two rafts look pretty cool, especially the robber one, which has like that Chima uh, boat piece that they used on the crocodile ship. But yeah, I think that honestly it looks pretty good, and it's not a set that I'm super enthused about. I won't actually end up really be get it. I won't really be getting any of these sets, but I just think that they look pretty cool, and as I said, I really like the off-roader in this. Next up is the helicopter surveillance set. Again, a repeat of something that we've got in the past. Although the closest thing to this was more of a there's a slightly different police helicopter design, I believe, with twin rotors. We also got a very similar fire one a couple years ago, and by a couple I mean like two. But I think honestly the little hideout here is pretty neat, as and that flatbed or whatever you call it, the truck is kind of cute. And the vehicle itself actually looks really good, especially with those intakes on the side, and it just has a very robust and rugged look to it. So, all right. So next up we have the police station. Now this is a set which, even though Lego has done many police stations in the past, I think they've kind of managed to keep this one fresh because this has more of a elevated, sort of stacked design, and it's a little bit different than the ones that have been done in the past. So I have to commend them on that. It's definitely a different sort of look, and I like it. I really do like it. I don't really have a huge love for Lego police stations, although I think that they certainly look cool. They just don't really appeal to me. However, this one I like, and as I've been saying, I really do like the new sort of police font that they've been going with, especially on that blue beam right there. That looks pretty neat. Apart from that, they continue the theme with the sort of breaking out the robber from his cell with a tow hook or whatever that thing is, and the robber has a ball and chain on his foot. I think I'm not entirely sure how they connected that because, as far as I know, if they connected to the stud on the back of the leg, I think that would be an illegal connection because it would to put too much stress on the chain to try and get it out. I don't know what they're doing with it. Maybe they have like a stud in between or something. I really don't know, but it's a new concept that Lego has gone out with come out with for this year, and I think it's definitely new and original. I'll say that. Not I don't think that they would really use that kind of thing in most prisons nowadays. I don't know. I haven't been to jail, but anyway, and I actually think that the police bike that's included in the set actually almost looks more complicated than the one that they have in the Crook Pursuit, which is kind of interesting. And that police car that they have right there looks more conventional, like sort of the older design. It doesn't look as modern as the newer high-speed police chase one. But either way, I like both of them. I just kind of prefer the older design. It's just a personal preference. I really do think that the new design, I like it in its own way, but I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of nostalgia. Anyway, moving on, we have a set with a much better helicopter, in my opinion, than the one that was in that previous police station that we just saw. For the helicopter transporter, I'm not a huge fan of the flatbed on this set, honestly, and like the helicopter transporters that they've done in the past. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that they had to do that to sort of get the dimensions right and have it properly set down on there. I just think that especially the way they have it cropped in the box, it looks kind of out of proportion. But that's not a huge deal, honestly. It's just something. It's just sort of accentuates the fact that I'm not a huge fan of this type of set. That cab is really, really nice though, but I don't know. And that dragster is definitely something that Lego has not done before, so it's good to see that they're trying out a lot of new stuff with this 2014 Police Wave. Now, there pretty much ends all the police sets for this year. We haven't really gotten any fire ones. but now we're sort of moving into the more standard sets, especially the great vehicles, which is basically the $20 to $25 sets that Lego's been releasing recently, which lots of AFOLs love. This right here is a bit of a smaller set. The race car, I'm not a huge fan of this. I think that it definitely has a neat design, but I'm not a huge fan of race cars. I don't know why. I just am not. But it's still definitely a set that's, to me, looks like in the $15 to $20 price range. It's sort of going to fill a gap that we've been having for for city sets in general in recent years. Next up, the light repair truck. This is a smaller version of a set we got previously. I like the truck a lot. I think that it looks really nice. If you take off some of the stickers and I guess the rising whatever you call that, the rising sort of compartment in the back that they use to fix lights with. If you took those off, it could almost be used as a regular truck. So I don't know. I just like the look of it. It looks very nice and cozy and comfortable and cute. That's a lot of C words. Anyway, so it's just a neat set, and it's gonna be probably a little bit overpriced in my opinion for the size. Maybe like $20 up here in Canada, but it's not a huge deal. Next up, the monster truck. This is a bit of a larger set, which I don't know. Again, I'm really not a huge fan of some of these sets, like the monster truck and the race car, just because I don't like those types of vehicles in real life. I'm not a car nut, but I just don't really. I like the look of some cars better than others, and I just don't know a whole lot about them. But anyway, so I'm going off of pure aesthetic opinion here. Overall, it's a decent design. It has lots of stickers to sort of, maybe it's because it's supposed to be part of a specific racing team. Again, I don't really know much about monster truck derbies, but it still looks like a decent one. I'm not too big of a fan of the studs on the front though. Next up, this is a set which I think honestly looked better in pictures than in real life. I've seen some reviews of this, and from multiple angles, I think that this tow truck, I really like the color scheme. It's definitely something they haven't done before, but I don't know. It seems a little bit too long for my tastes. I know that I guess it would be accurate like that, and that's sort of what they had to do to get the towing bits there. I guess the towing arm. But it still looks like a nice set. I really do like the look of the cabs that they've been going with for this entire wave. But overall, it's a nice set. It's just not as nice as I thought it would be. And yes, I have seen a review of this. Next up is by far one of the most beloved sets in recent city history that has been remade, and it's better. This, folks, is the Camper Van, which is a remake of the Camper that was released a few years ago, and it is better in almost every way, at least from the outside I can see. I mean, just the look of it looks even better than the original. I really like the color scheme more. I wasn't a huge fan of the lime green, but the combination of the green and the dark tan just really works for me. And overall, it looks like a really nice vehicle. There's not really too much I have to say about it. If I have the money, I might actually be picking this one up. And also that canoe, I think that's what it is. That's the proper term. Is an older piece that it's good to see that they've brought back. They brought it back beyond like the Lone Ranger sets, which I believe was a slightly different canoe. But anyway, next up is the SUV with watercraft. The SUV is a pretty neat design. It's similar to one that we got a couple years ago. I kind of prefer the older one more. I don't know. There's just something about the hood of this that doesn't really work for me. However, I really still do like the look of it. The watercraft part is neat and it's a neat add-on, but there's not really that much that I have to say about the set. It's another decent set that's similar to the both the SUV with horse transporter and the SUV with the what were those dirt bikes, I think, from like 2 years ago. And I'm just being approximate here. I haven't actually looked up all the dates on these sets, but it's just sort of something that I've kept track of city sets, so I'm trying to remember. I don't Please don't quote me on these. It kind of it annoys me when people get dates wrong, but I'm just sort of being approximate here. Next up is the logging truck. The cab of this truck I really like, with the sort of almost roll cage on the top. Apart from that, I think that the claw is pretty neat, and the logs themselves are pretty cool. This is just another interesting and definitely out of the ordinary set that LEGO has never really done before, and I think it's really nice to get this type of stuff in City. Next up is the Auto Transporter. This is a set which LEGO hasn't really done a whole lot in the past. I think they maybe done it once or twice before, but not in recent memory as far as I'm concerned, especially not in this scale. So this is a neat set to have. Those two little sporty convertibles are pretty nice, even though they're both the exact same design. And overall, this is just a neat set. I'm not a huge fan of the look of it, but I think that the concept is pretty cool. Also, that new printed piece for the sort of the noteboard or pegboard, or not pegboard, I guess noteboard, or the contract board. I'll say that. That the driver is holding is, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. It seems kind of out of place, but I don't know. This is still a neat set. Finally, we have the airport fire truck. This is a set which I really like the look of. It definitely looks very sort of almost tank-like and rugged, and definitely a set that LEGO has not made in the past. Well, they made an airport fire truck, which I myself actually got. It was very different though, and this just looks better in pretty much every sense of the word. So yeah, overall, I mean, this just looks like a solid set, and the wave in all looks like a solid wave. I mean, like, I really do like the look of the city sets this year. I don't know why. I think that lots of the vehicles and the cabs of some of the vehicles, I just really love the sort of the style that they went with. Again, if somebody's a car lover and they know what vehicles these are modeled after, feel free to post that in the comments. Feel free to post your thoughts on these sets in the comments. I'll probably be doing another full in-depth look, or really just thoughts. This is just sharing my thoughts. I'm not really going over every single detail in the set. I'll be doing another one of these about the Star Wars sets when we get really good quality pictures. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. This is going to be a heck of a year for City. Already we've gotten, what, like 17 full-size sets? That's more than Star Wars, excluding the microfighters. So that's pretty amazing. Now, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope to see you again in another video soon. I applaud you if you stuck through my voice, just me talking for this long, and I'll see you again later. Bye.